harshly rolling hills of the province of Chalatenango is Agua Caliente. The town itself has a population of only 800, but it is a municipal center for the rural cantons. Ojo de Agua, Santa Rosa, and Agua Fria are some of their names, and in their hills live 5,000 people. They are farmers of land which was never meant to be farmed, and inheritors of ignorance, poverty, sickness. But no generalization would do them justice, for they are individuals, all living a life which has its daily pattern, also those moments of hope and beginning.
I was the first North American ever in this town, in the history of Agua Caliente. I said, what? What? Where are you from? Where? And when I got here, I could have easily dropped in off of the moon. People, of course, were glad to see me. I was kind of a collector's item for a while. People came in, they looked over my suitcase, and I had 5 or 6 shirts in there. They automatically considered me to be the richest man in town. As I used to do in the old days, asking kids, you know, what do you want to do? You want to be a fireman? You want to be a policeman? Do you want to buy a boat, a gondola, and sing Italian songs? So I asked Betty, I said, what do you want to be, a nurse, a teacher? And she said, no, I'm not going to be a nurse or teacher. I'll be here in Agua Caliente. I'll have children. And I'll still be making tortillas. That's it. Nothing more. So she was opposed to it, sure, but opposed to it in the only sense that she could be opposed to it, with the youngness of her days. With the fact that she is 9 years old, and that thus far she hasn't been overwhelmed by the sadness. Hasn't been overwhelmed by the harshness of life. But that's coming. And so the possibilities of becoming a nurse, of becoming a teacher, for her now doesn't exist. This is the type of thing that you see out in Agua Caliente, and in 100,000 Agua Calientes all over the underdeveloped world. It's this sense of the equality of persons, and at the same time the recognition that there is not an equality of opportunity.
Gradually, Tim began to find the people who cared about the progress of Agua Caliente in the cantons. In Agua Fria, Don Juan, Don Victor, Don Maximo, the mayor of Agua Caliente. In Ojo de Agua, Don Chepe, Don Hipólito. But of all the cantons, Santa Rosa had the strongest leadership. Don Camilo, Don Balbino, Don Leonardo, and Francisco Landaverde, Don Chico to his friends.
Don Chico told me that when Gregorio, his eldest son, was in the 4th grade in Agua Caliente, that he came to his father one day and said, I'd like to try to plant a little plot of corn this year, help you out. We have more brothers and sisters in the family now, and I think it's about time that I got busy and started helping to make a little money for the family. Don Chico said, absolutely not. I'm going to go on and finish the 6th grade. And when he finished the 6th grade, he came back and he said to his father, I'd like to go on to Plan Básico. I'd like to go on a little bit further because I don't think I have as yet learned enough. And so there he is today in the seminary, and he's the first person in the history of Agua Caliente to come out of the hills of Chalatenango into the seminary. And he'll probably be the first priest in the history of Agua Caliente.
At the New Alianza School in Agua Caliente, there are 2 more of Don Chico's children. But the daily 5-mile walk from Santa Rosa requires a physical effort beyond the younger children and an educational drive beyond most of their parents. The critical first years of education rest with the primary schools in the cantons. And in Santa Rosa, the primary school was 1 room, dark, and the tiles from the roof were more danger than protection. The talk about a new school went on among the men. But how could the materials come in? For the road was no more than a path.
It's not a great thing, but it is a great thing. because you've given the people the opportunity at last to do something that I think they've always wanted to do, and that is to live a little bit better. The love of one's children, or the love of one's community, something which really can't be put down, and it has been put down for such a long time in these places. So at last, here's Don Chico with an opportunity, and Don Camilo with an opportunity, and they're going to get out there and they're going to talk this thing up, and they're going to get people on their side, and so that when you go out there again, and you're talking about the weather, or you're talking about the problems out in the corn patch, they begin to say, well, what about this school? What can we do on this? I've got this idea. I have some trees out back that I can give for the making of wooden rafters, or for utilizing wood for the doors, or pillars for the corridors, or what have you. And so it begins.
¿Quién tuvo esa idea, sacar a los niños de allí de la escuela?
Fue Francisco.
¡Ajá! ¿Dónde están estos niños para trabajar? Y no tuvo ningún problema con los padres de familia.
No hubo ninguno.
Ningún padre lo pasó allí y dijo, no quiero mi hijo trabajando en la escuela.
Ninguno, todos dijeron, Santa Rosa se abrió.
Ah, sí.
Aquí
bueno esto.
están mis hijos para que le ayuden en lo que necesiten.
Ajá, fue bueno entonces.
And so this meeting, in reality, is the culmination point. It's the fact that finally people have thought this over, and they said, yes, we want to do that. The road, in the case of Santa Rosa, was something that made the school possible, because you just couldn't haul the materials out to Santa Rosa if you didn't have the road. And so, quite early one morning, we loaded the tiles on the truck. Big truck, lots of tiles. Roughly 9 miles from Agua Caliente, the dirt road starts, and it weaves its way in snake-like fashion into Agua Caliente. But the road is passable on the road to the school. And there we slowed down to a crawl, inch by inch. The road was built for ox carts, the road was built for jeeps, but the road certainly wasn't built for a 10-ton truck. And Don Arturo became more and more apprehensive. My God, my truck, my 22,000 Cologne truck, will I ever see it ever again in San Salvador? The truck was enveloped by the people. Once you started on that road, there was no turning back. Just as once we started on the construction of that road, there was no turning back on the school or on all of these other things. So that once that truck actually started out there, there was no turning around. That truck was going to get through. It was going to get through because the people had a sense of urgency to get that truck through. Once you have the people on the move, they're not going to stop. We couldn't begin the school until the dry season began because you can't make adobes during the wet season. So we had a tremendous problem with the scarcity of water for the actual construction of the school. This is not done. The school, the walls aren't raised, the roof isn't put on in a day or in a week or in a week of days. This is something which goes on because we're working when the people can work. The people can't work every day because they have their own families to look after. People have to go out and begin clearing off the land. People have to go out and begin plowing the land in preparation for the seeding, the actual seed time. And therefore, maybe the roof isn't on. And you have people who are torn between their obligation to their family and the fact that they really want to get the school done and the walls are up, and if the roof does not go on, the walls will fall down because they're mud walls. So you, on the one hand, scarcity of water, one day you're hauling water 2 miles, and the next day you've got a tremendous overabundance of water. The weather's against us.
The students of a school in Oak Park, Illinois, helped the people of Ojo de Agua to build a school. The students of a school in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, helped the people of Agua Fria to build a school. The students of a school in East Irondequoit, New York, helped the people of Santa Rosa to build a school.
Pila, para colocarla ya. ¿Está bien? Sí. Está magnífico. Vaya.
100 years ago in America, we have the image of Abraham Lincoln in his log cabin, sitting by the fire, reading the Bible and John Bunyan. And that's not much different than sitting out in Santa Rosa, reading by Coleman Lantern. We have this image of the past, that 100, even 50 years ago in the United States, anyone who had 2 years of schooling, the man that could read and write, had really done something. This was the educated person. In Santa Rosa today, and in all of Agua Caliente, we have the same critical step, the step out of the past into the village school, the step out of the farmyard into the second grade. This is the giant step.